which shoe should you buy? Good morning, YouTube. What's up, everybody? I hope you're safe, healthy, and happy and doing okay. If you live in the Northeast, I hope that you are surviving this polar vortex. And if you're stupid enough to venture out for a run like I just did, I hope you wore layers upon layers upon layers. Today we're gonna be comparing two shoes that are in the max cushion category, and that is my favorite category of running shoes. And these two shoes just happen to be some of my favorites on the market right now. They are the New Balance Fresh Foam More V4 and the Asics Gel Nimbus 25. Both the More V4 and the Nimbus 25 were built to take you the distance and to do it with just complete comfort from the upper to the midsole. You're just supposed to have happy feeling feet. And that's exactly what I have in these two shoes. And I know that there are a lot of other max cushion shoes on the market, and some of them I quite like as well. But these have been the two that I've gravitated towards the most. So even for me, I think it would be good to take them head to head and see which you think you should buy. And then at the end, I'll tell you which shoe I would buy. I've done individual videos on both of these shoes, so I will link them right here so you can click those if you want to see what I think about them on their own. But today we're just going to compare the uppers and midsoles, the outsoles of both of these shoes, and just see what we're digging more. Before we get started today, I do want to let you know that both of these shoes were sent to me by the brands themselves. However, they're not going to see this before you. They don't even know I'm making this video. They can't tell me what to say. And all of my opinions are always my own. All right, so as always, let's start with the upper. The New Balance More V4's upper is an engineered mesh. It's soft, it's comfortable on the foot. In the midfoot, you do have some overlays from that New Balance logo, and you have a sturdy heel counter. Now, a couple other things that I like about this shoe is that the tongue is pretty plush, sits nicely on the top of your foot. It's not gusseted though, but it doesn't seem to make a difference for me. And I also appreciate the padding around the ankle collar. Now, what I will say about the upper of the More V4, it's a bit roomy for me, and I've heard that from other people. Now, keep in mind that this is a men's shoe. They sent me a men's size 9 to review because they didn't have a 10.5 women's. It hasn't really been a deal breaker for me, but I have had to cinch down the laces a little bit because it's kind of roomy in the midfoot for my narrow foot. And I've heard from other women who have the women's version of the shoe that they feel like it's a little bit roomy. So just something to keep in mind. Another thing is that the shoe really isn't all that breathable, which in the climate that we have out right now doesn't matter at all to me. But in the warmer months or in warmer climates, you might feel like this shoe gets a little bit sweaty. Other than that though, like I said, the materials that New Balance is using here are really comfortable, and I didn't have any issues with hot spots, blisters, or irritation in this shoe. So that's the upper of the More V4. Now moving on over to the upper of the Asics Nimbus 25, we have an engineered knit mesh. Yes, a knit mesh. This material also feels very soft to me. In the midfoot, you have a little bit of structure from the Asics logo. And moving to the back, you have a nice sturdy heel counter and a very nice feeling pull tab. I quite like this. Couple other things that I like about the upper of this shoe are the stretchy tongue that is gusseted. When we look at the ankle collar of this shoe, it looks kind of bare up here. And a lot of times I don't really like ankles that look like this because I feel like this fabric can kind of cut into your ankle a little bit, or it has the potential to, but it didn't do that for me. And inside of the heel counter or the ankle collar, you can see that it has some nice padding around here, and it is very, very comfortable. Now, as far as fit goes, I do think that the Nimbus 25's fit is better for my foot. This is also a women's shoe, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I just think in the midfoot, I don't have to cinch down the laces as much. It could be that this shoe's a little bit more narrow. I mean, it certainly looks like it to me. I feel really locked down on the platform. As far as breathability goes, I think this is slightly better than the More V4, but I also don't think it's the most breathable shoe out there. I just did run in this polar vortex outside, and I did feel some air passing through, but what I will say is that my toes didn't freeze. So I don't know, that might be a good thing for now, but maybe in the hotter months that indicates that this will be a sweaty shoe as well. But still, in the Nimbus 25, I have no issues with hot spots, blisters, or irritation. Putting these uppers up head to head against each other is a little bit tough, because now that I know what to expect from the More V4 and I know how to get the proper fit for myself, I don't mind the upper at all. But the Asics Nimbus 25 gives me a slightly better starting point. So I think I'm gonna go with the Nimbus 25 in terms of upper. I also really like the material here, this knit mesh that they're using. It's soft, it's a bit stretchy, and it just feels a little bit more innovative than the More V4's upper. Onto the midsole. The More V4 is using a ton of New Balance's Fresh Foam X cushioning. But not only that, they've also incorporated a rocker technology to give you a little bit of an easier time getting up on your toes, which I have to say, I do feel like I have a nice rolling forward sensation in this shoe. And I quite like the Fresh Foam X here because the More V4 is max cushioned. It feels soft, but it does have a little bit of oomph and response and energy return that a lot of the other max cushion shoes on the market just don't really have. It really balances the softness and the energy return aspect of the midsole foam. They've managed to give it just the right amount of firmness to set it apart from the quicksand shoes on the market. Not only that, but the platform is pretty wide, so while this is a neutral shoe, I do feel like it's a bit more stable than some other max cushion shoes out there. Moving on over to the Asics Gel Nimbus 25, Asics is using their Flight Foam Blast cushioning here. You got a lot of it, especially in that heel, and also in the heel, you're gonna have the Asics Gel embedded inside of the midsole foam. To me, the Nimbus 25 feels nice and soft and mushy and like a pillow under your foot. I love going easy in the Nimbus 25 because it just feels like your feet are attached to clouds. It is very comfortable. In my opinion, there is definitely a little bit more sink and give in the Nimbus 25 than there is in the More V4. The Nimbus 25 is not as responsive or lively as the More V4 is, but it is softer than the More V4 is. So it's really gonna depend what you like in your max cushion shoes. Comparing these two midsoles is tricky because while they're both max cushion, they just do it differently. It's almost a tie, but I think what breaks the tie for me is what I feel is a more balanced feeling midsole, and that I'm gonna give to the More V4. The cushion is distributed more evenly from heel to toe, and the fact that it gives me a little more stability on the platform sets it apart. Now, for the outsoles. I kind of matched this outsole. Anyways, here you have some rubber in the forefoot and some rubber in the heel. Very self-explanatory. You got some flex grooves here to help with the turnover and the overall ride of the shoe. Love a good flex groove. I've found that this rubber has held up quite well. I haven't had any issues with it on the roads, and it's been in some wetter conditions at this point. And yeah, I quite like it. I think it's doing well. This has over 50 miles in it. And I am seeing some wear in the forefoot of the shoe, but it hasn't changed the way that the shoe rides at all. It hasn't changed how good the traction is. The Nimbus 25 is using two different kinds of rubber. We have Asics light rubber in the forefoot, and in the heel we have AHAR Plus for some more durability. I did say in my first run impressions that the outsole of the shoe was slipping a bit on some like wetter sidewalk surfaces. This shoe has been in worse conditions at this point, and I think that it is doing well. So I'm gonna redact what I said about it at first. I think the durability and the feeling of this tread in wetter conditions really isn't so bad. We don't quite have 50 miles on this shoe yet, and the tread pattern in the forefoot seems to be holding up just fine. We know that AHAR Plus rubber is a very good rubber from Asics, and that seems to be sturdy too. When it comes to outsoles, I don't know. They're kind of a tie to me. Neither one is particularly worse than the other or better than the other. I guess I could give a slight edge to the More V4 just because I have a little bit more miles on it, so I know it's pretty good. But I think, to be fair, we'll just draw a tie here. And now let's talk about price. On runningwarehouse.com, the New Balance Fresh Foam More V4 is $149.95, and the Asics Gel Nimbus 25 is $159.95. So a $10 difference. If you're interested in picking up either of these shoes, I will put a link in the description to both of them so you can click those and pick up your own pair. Keep in mind, those will be affiliate links with Running Warehouse, however, it doesn't mean much for you. It just helps out my channel so I can help you make the best decision for your feet. With all of that out of the way, this is going to be a case of what you just prefer to have on your feet when it comes to max cushion. It's personal preference, as most of these decisions are. This is a really tough decision for me because I truly love both of these shoes. But in the spirit of the video, I am gonna pick one that I like better, and for me right now, that is the New Balance Fresh Foam More V4. The reasoning behind it is that I don't necessarily like a firmer max cushion shoe, but I just think that the ride of the shoe is a bit more balanced and just makes sense for my foot. Still, the Nimbus 25 is a phenomenal shoe. You can't go wrong with either of them really, but when putting these two head to head, I gotta give it to the More V4. Have you tried either of these shoes? What do you think of them? Put it down in the comments below. Do you like these with shoe? Should you buy videos? I kind of like filming them. Well, everyone, that concludes my video of which shoe should you buy, the New Balance Fresh Foam More V4 or the Asics Gel Nimbus 25. If you enjoyed this video, please like it down below and subscribe. And when you're done with all that, hit the notifications bell so you can find out every time I upload a new video. When it comes to looks though, I think the Nimbus 25's got it. I have another video for you on Sunday, but in the meantime, get out there, get on the grind, and don't forget to run like Heller. See you next time. You laying in the sun? Oh my goodness. She's requesting a belly rub. Fun. Say hi to your friends. Bye.